Racism is expensive.
I can't live like this anymore. Nobody cares about you unless you're dead or dying.
America is collapsing before our very eyes. Restaurants are closing their doors for good in my city at a record pace. They're blaming it on a slow season, but I think it's something else. You can't tell me the amount of abandoned strip malls that I drive by on a daily basis is normal. I know you've seen it too. All these places just get replaced with the Capybara Cafe de Jour or a flower store to placate the masses, if you know what I mean. There used to be 24-hour diners, family-owned restaurants, even bookstores, I don't know, third spaces. Now, nothing. Luxury apartments that sit vacant forever. Grocery stores that have been closed for 10 years. So much wasted space in empty parking lots until some TikTok trend comes, opens for 6 months, and then that closes too. I know I'm not alone in this, but yet every single time I bring it up, I get all the bots in my comments telling me the economy's never been better. But I ask for who? Like 100 people at the top? So the billionaires are doing great. I don't care. People like you and me, we're struggling out here. All my friends live in vans. And if we are lucky enough to have apartments or houses, we're living behind locked doors and closed blinds because there's no community here anymore. Restaurants are just the beginning. They're the canary in the coal mine. Once they're gone, so are all of our meeting places, our birthday parties, our community, and third spaces. They're not just a place to buy food. They're a pulse of the neighborhood. And also, as a live singer, something hugely important to my job. I used to sing 5 nights a week. Now I'm lucky if I can find a Sunday night gig. So I'm just here to say, if this is what a booming economy sounds like, it must be the sound of doors slamming shut. And I don't know about you, but I'm making my exit plan. We're moving to Portugal soon, where they still have cafes and restaurants that people actually go to. If you find that interesting, stick around. Because I can tell you this is not normal. And don't let internet comments gaslight you into thinking it is.
Welcome my family to my YouTube commentary, and according to the title, it was buried for long, but right now it is eating white America or white people up. What is this that is buried? What is this that it was buried for so long? Okay? The truth. They buried the truth. They buried our history as black people. They buried our power. They buried our dignity. They thought if they covered it with lies, it will never come back. But family, the truth has a way of rising, okay? And when it rises, it doesn't just whisper, it roars. It shakes the foundations, okay? Look right now at the economy of white people, economy of white America. White people across the world, they are crying. For the first time, for a long time, at my age, I never thought white people will weep. I never thought white people will cry because of economy. But right now, all the things that was thrown to the black people back then, it is on their doorsteps. Let's watch these clips then. We come back.
To all my farmer neighbors, my name is Susie, and I live in rural Missouri. You were warned over and over and over. We told you there was no drag queen story hour. There were no furries in our school using litter boxes. But you guys refused to call the superintendent of the schools like I did. I called Rolla Public Schools and asked Dr. Dare if there was any truth to that. He laughed and said maybe I was watching too much TV. We told you that China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans. You laughed in our face. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I do not want to bail you out for the next 20 years, and I will fight against it. China signed 20-year contracts with Brazil for soybeans because of Donald J. Trump. They don't want our soybeans. They don't want our beef. They don't want our wheat. They don't want anything we grow. As far as we're concerned, China can stick it up our ass. And can you blame them? Can you really blame them?
Okay, just found out this afternoon that the nursing home that my dad is in is ending their Medicaid contracts.
and he has until September 15th to figure out what to do. And so I've just been down the rabbit hole to try to figure out why would a nursing home end their Medicaid contracts.
So it's because of the big beautiful bill. I'm going to save you the trouble of going through a deep dive. That's why.
My dad lives in a nursing home, and by now I'm sure you've seen the video circulating about the woman who's really concerned because her dad is getting kicked out of his nursing home due to Medicare. And this is just the anticipatory changes that the big beautiful bill is putting into place. What people don't understand is a lot of nursing homes are actually owned by these big corporations, right? So the big corporations, your local branch isn't that, but like they are owned like by private equity, things like that. Like I know the one that my dad lives in is like that. And so the rules kind of come from on top. So it sounds like some of these nursing homes are figuring, well, we're not going to get reimbursed from Medicare in the future. So we're going to just start evicting people who, you know, pay that way because we don't want to suffer the losses. And instead we'll try to fill those spots with people who pay out of pocket.
Breaking news this afternoon. So if you have a mom, a dad, a grandma, an uncle, a brother, a sister that lives in an assisted living facility, a nursing home, be prepared to make some room on your couch, room in your spare bedroom, because most likely you will have a family member that will have to move in with you soon enough. Let me explain. So 99% of nursing homes, nursing home facilities, assisted living for the elderly are no longer going to be accepting Medicaid.
Racism is expensive. It's so expensive because you guys used to have free college. Racism brought about college being the cost that it is. We could never get to free health, universal health care because Black people would receive it. Racism is expensive. You guys got rid of all of the free parks and pools and programs once the Civil Rights Act was passed. This was America's downfall, the Civil Rights Act. Being civil was y'all downfall.
Racism has always been expensive. It's always been expensive. It's just, they always thought that they would have the fee. They always thought they would have the fee, and hell, for a good minute they did. They had the fee to give. See, the problem is now they don't have the fee. They don't have the fee, so it's becoming a problem. And rather than stop trying to pay the fucking fee, y'all will literally kill yourselves and kill the reputation of this country, of this nation, trying to pay a fee that y'all should have been stopped paying. Okay? Y'all should have been stopped paying. When colleges went from being tuition free to tuition based in in the 1960s, that was all because y'all couldn't stop us from getting educated anymore. So you wanted to put a roadblock in there. You wanted to make it harder for us. We didn't have the capital like you guys did. So you added tuition. The reason why America doesn't have universal health care is because that means everybody would have access to it, that including people like me and you. And they don't want that. They thought that they would always have surgery money. They thought that they was always going to have outpatient care money. You understand? Private doctor money. Hell, I'm not going to an office. I can always have them come to me. That's what they thought they was always going to have.
So apparently, Trump thinks that teaching about slavery is woke. Like, sir, slavery happened before Wi-Fi, TikTok, and even your spray tan formula. How is history somehow political? The Smithsonian teaching kids about slavery isn't woke. It's literally just facts. Saying slavery is bad isn't some leftist agenda. It's just called reality. When a leader calls history woke, it's about protecting their power. Because if people don't know the truth, they're easier to control. So no, slavery isn't woke. It's just history. And ignoring it, that's the real agenda.
This video is going to trigger a lot of white people, but I don't care. I think that white people actually suffer from inferiority complex. And so the reason why they have always been trying to prove themselves as superior, controlling, colonize, steal from cultures, appropriate other cultures is because First of all, they've been unable to keep their own cultures. They've ruined their own practices, their own spirituality, their own forms of wisdom. And so they try to like steal that from other cultures and other people because they just were unable to accept that their culture was devoid of actual wisdom. Their barbary and cruelty destroyed their own essence and souls. And so they try to reclaim that by coming into other cultures and trying to steal that from other cultures and trying to install this sort of supremacy and white excellence in order to dominate the narrative. But in reality, they are the ones that at the core are just so small and materialistic and devoid of culture and barbaric in their self-expression and in the way that they connect with life, with Mother Nature, with other cultures and other people. They destroyed their own souls and they have nothing to connect to, nothing divine, nothing magical, nothing whimsical, nothing spiritual to connect to. And so they try to push this narrative of materialism, of atheism, of capitalism, all of that in order to secure themselves in their emptiness, in their nothingness. And they try to force that onto other cultures. And when it didn't work, well, they just started stealing the knowledge of other cultures, the other spiritual forms of other cultures.
Welcome back. It was amazing. Okay, it is not amazing, but it's amazing at the same time. It is not amazing because as human being, we're not happy when you see other people weeping or crying because of some circumstances that could have been avoided. It is amazing because black people who are going through this shit for so long. Black people want what is going on, but they tried to bury the truth and the history, and they cover up with lies. The lies about white people, the lies about white America, the lies about the economy, the lies about white dream, white privilege, American dream. So it was all a lie, and they tend not to believe. Working class white people and poor white people, they did not believe that problems like this can come up one day to them. Africans have been crying for too long. Africans have been crying for long, but no one cared. Right now, Africa is rising. Some countries are blocking the resources that's going out, and it's affecting them. France Empire is falling down because of what Burkina Faso is doing, what some Western countries are doing. They are saying no to that, and that is making the France Empire, the economy, it is being shaken, okay? You cannot bury the sun. You cannot bury a river. You cannot bury a people chosen by the Creator to rise again. Now, they buried the truth of who we are as black people, as Africans. When they enslaved us, when they colonized us, when they rewrote our history. And their goal was very simple. Their goal was to erase our greatness. They painted us as savages. They told us the world that civilization began with them. They lied that Africa had no history before colonization. They buried empires like Mali, Songhai, Kush, Nubia, Kemet, name them. They buried our language, our culture, our spiritual system, our gods. Why did they bury it? They buried this because lies are the foundation of their power. And if black people knows who they are, if black people knows their true identity, white supremacy cannot survive. That is reality. If we remember that we build pyramids, if we remember that when we were building pyramids, they were living in caves, the illusion of superiority collapses. If we recognize that our ancestors taught the world, then their false narrative of being the masters crumbles. So they buried that truth. They buried that truth to protect a lie. They buried the truth to maintain control. They buried the truth so that they could feed off our labor while convincing us that we were worthless. But let me tell you, my good people, lies are temporary, always, and truth is eternal. And now that truth is calling its way out of the grave. Yes, they dug that grave, they buried the truth, and now it is rainy season, the soil is softer, and the truth is rising up. I don't know if you have noticed this one thing. The things they buried are not just creeping back. They are erupting, okay? It's erupting like a volcano that was covered, silent and forgotten. It's erupting, okay? And you know the fire inside that truth never died. That is the reality. When it's coming up very hard, hotter. Let me tell you, it is not by accident that the truth is rising, okay? Technology has exposed each and every lie in this technology. That's the previous video I did about ChatGPT, AI exposing these things. It tells us this generation, technology is exposing a lot of lies to us. Social media has cut down the gatekeepers, and young people right now are questioning history like never before. Okay? And oppressed people around the world are comparing notes. What they hid in one nation is now seen in another nation. And what they buried in Africa is being unveiled in America. So what they erased in Caribbean is being rewritten right now by the diaspora. Okay? And this is why we say nothing can stop the idea whose time has come. And you cannot bury a spirit. You cannot silence a people forever. You cannot erase truth. No matter how many centuries you try, family, the buried truth is not just rising, it is roaring, and white America for the first time has nowhere to run. Yes. Listen here carefully. As I went silent for some time, I took my time to do my research on history and everything. And I came to realize this one thing. Every empire has a day of reckoning, and every system built on oppression eventually collapses. I learned about Rome. Rome fell. Britain fell. France is falling. America is cracking. And there is a law written into the universe itself that what you sow, you shall reap, and what you bury will one day rise. For 400 years, 400 good years, white people sowed seeds of violence, or white America sowed seed of violence, colonization, slavery, lies. But now they are harvesting the fruits of their labor. When I talk about white America, I'm talking about the system. I'm not talking about the individual. Don't get me wrong, okay? Right now, we are seeing economic collapse, social unrest, generational guilt, and fear of losing control. Okay. According to the history, every empire that enslaved others eventually devoured itself. Okay. Because when you build power on lies, the truth eventually eats you alive. And that's exactly what is happening right now, family. Okay. This is not punishment. This is not revenge. It is just justice. Karma has simply come home. Now, here's the most powerful part that I'm going to say. While they were burying truth, while they were building lies, they forgot one thing, that black people cannot be buried. And after 400 years of slavery, we survived. 100 years of Jim Crow. Black people endured centuries of colonization. We resisted as Africans. Police brutality, mass incarceration, economic exclusion. We still rised up. Every time they tried to bury us, they only planted us more, because we are coming back stronger. Look at the Gen Zs, they are coming up stronger. And we are growing back stronger. That's the reality. The reason is because our power is not man-made. It is spiritual. It is ancestral. It is divine. Our resilience in the nightmare of white America. Because no matter how much they try, they cannot erase. They can't erase us. Okay? And they know it deep down. So what they buried for decades is now eating them alive. But what they tried to bury in us has turned into unshakable power. And this is why the future belonged to us. Okay? Let's be real. White America is not panicking because they love truth. Okay? No. They are panicking because truth threatens their power. Okay. Let's do this. Look at the signs right now. They are banning books in schools. You know that. They have attack on Black history lesson, new laws against protest, militarization of police. This is not strength. It is fear, not strength or power. It is fear. They are afraid because they see the shift. They see Black people rising in education, in business, in politics, in culture, and they see Africa awakening and rejecting exploitation. They see the diaspora uniting across oceans, and most of all, they see their children learning about Black people, following Black people culture. White Gen Zs are turning away from what their parents embraced. It is reality. So when the oppressor begins to panic, it means that the oppressor are finally winning. And right now, they are trembling because the world they buried is coming back to life. Let's understand this. The rising truth is not just about America. It is global. In Africa, young people are rejecting colonial puppets and standing up for liberation. It's happening in Africa. Coup after coup shows that the old systems of exploitation is crumbling. The continent is beginning to reclaim the truth, to reclaim their wealth, to reclaim its identity. In the diaspora, we are seeing black people are reconnecting with their roots. Black Americans are traveling to Africa, are going to Kenya, Ghana, South Africa, because they are rediscovering home. Not to forget about Caribbean nations. Caribbean people are demanding reparations. Brazilians and Europeans, black youths are reclaiming African pride. So for the first time in centuries, Africans and the diaspora are looking at each other, and we are like, once we unite, the system they built cannot stand. And shift is not only about us, black people. It's about those who come after us too. So the first thing we must give to our children is the truth, because at the end of the day, our children, the Gen Zs, must know the truth, must learn the history, not the watered down lies of the history books, not the stories that begin with slavery or colonization, but the full truth, that they have to know they are the descendants of kings and queens, scientists and builders, warriors and healers. Okay, a child who knows their true history cannot be broken. The second thing that we must give our children is ownership. Let's teach them to own a land, own a business, own their craft, because without ownership, freedom is temporary. That is the reality. But with ownership, freedom becomes permanent. That is the reality. That thing we need to do, we must give our children skills, not just surviving skills, but skills to lead, technology, science, agriculture, blah, blah, blah. Let's do that. And finally, we must give our children, as the youths, spiritual strength. Okay? Spiritual strength, because no matter how advanced the world become, the greatest weapon is the spirit. A child connected to their ancestors, their culture, and their creator cannot be shaken. White America buried the truth to control our past, but we will raise the truth to secure our future if we prepare our children. There is no system, no empire, no lie will ever bury us again. Okay? You know what? Because I came to notice this for centuries. They buried the genocide under patriotism. They buried slavery under democracy. They buried colonization under civilization. But the mirror of history never lies. And now they are forced to look into it. That's why DJT last time said they want to delete this woke history. The economy is collapsing to the United States. Their politics are divided. Their culture is sleeping. Their youth are lost. They can pass laws, they can ban books, they can censor classrooms, they can try to silence voices, but it is too late, because once the truth is alive, it cannot be killed again. Okay? And reckoning is here. What they buried for decades is now eating them alive, no matter how hard they fight, no matter how much they deny that, no matter how desperate they become. Tell me in the comment section, do you believe that? Do you believe that? Rise is knowledge. It is unity. It is ownership. It is love, okay? For self, for our people, because the truth is not only eating them alive, but it is feeding us alive too. Grand rising kings and queens. Let us never forget one thing. They buried this in darkness, but we are bringing it into light. So keep watching, keep sharing my video, keep liking. And for those who are sending super thanks, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. And you know that. Until next episode, peace out. And by the way, my fans who are reaching me on email, I'm alive and watching your message and replying on point. Okay? Even if I delay, just know I will be replying on time. I love you so much.